Welcome to the Model Car Hobby Podcast with your host, Luka C. Now here he is, Luka C. Hello, my fellow car modelers. How are you doing today? It's been a while since we've done a Model Car Hobby Podcast. I get to forget what the name of this show is. It's been such a long time. Model Car Hobby Podcast we are. And we have a really special guest for me. Some of you may not know him. Some of you may know him. But my friend George Openhym. Did I say your last name right? I didn't ask you before we started. Wow. George, first of all, has been one of my longest running producers. You'll see him at the end of this video. He's in the scroll. He's been a huge supporter of mine. We've become really good friends. And then he's gotten involved over the past year or so with social media and having a YouTube channel. And I think his YouTube channel is doing really great. He's got some great videos. So if you haven't, here, let's pop it up, George, right there. Wham! Kitchen table scale models. Go on over to YouTube and sub to him and give him a thumbs up. Watch his videos. They're very good videos. And he also has a Facebook group, Kitchen Table Scale Models Facebook group. And it's getting going. It's a private group, but you know what it is now. You can find it. Join. It's fun. There's some cool modelers on there, and George is always posting really cool stuff. I like George's work. So, and all around fun guy to talk to. So this is going to be a fun podcast. Thank you, George, for coming on.
Matt, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. We've been chatting online and been doing the live streams for, I guess, about a year or so now. And
yeah, those have been a lot of fun.
You know, the feelings are mutual. I too consider you a friend.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, like I said, you have been a supporter of mine through Patreon for so long, and always had great input on my channel when I ask you guys, you know, for ideas. You've all been real helpful. And it's created a friendship with like the whole crew we have there, you know, when we get together once a month on our little private live streams, the producer meetings. And I kind of like taking the time to, you know, when you guys are doing stuff like this, I'm going to support you as much as you support me. And you guys, you know, I've got a lot of road to cover because you've been supporting me a long time. And it's not a financial thing. This is a friendship and cheerleading and all that kind of stuff, you know, and input. So I'm always happy to do something like this. But now, you know, hopefully we get a lot of my viewers to see the man behind the name that they see scroll at the end of my videos for the past, I don't know how many years. I think you've been with me 5-7 years.
You were one of the first. You were one of the first model YouTubers I discovered.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Back around 2000, I guess.
Oh boy, yeah. So I was going for about a year and a half, maybe. At that
point. It was early on. I remember one of the first YouTubes that I saw was your rant on ruining the hobby. So it was right around
that was the first year. That was fantastic.
You know, I was watching that, and Carol was going through the room while I was watching it. She sat down and she watched it. I think she subscribed to your channel.
Well, yeah, she's just as much of a part of it as you are. You know.
Well, she's a big part of my, you know, me being in the hobby. That's for sure. So,
yeah, she's. And she always pops in and says hi when we're having our live streams. So
yeah, well, she's out today, so
no, won't be. Oh man, she won't be popping in.
Yeah, she might be showing up here.
She's definitely welcome to.
Took a couple of our dogs to a dog show, so she'll. She'll be in later today.
That's right. You got those dogs, and well, let's throw this up here, just so everybody knows the other hobby that George has.
Yeah, the other hobby.
The other hobby is with your corgis or corgis. Corgis. Where's the picture? There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
There's your babies.
Yeah, there's two of them.
Yeah. And the other hobby, good beers. That's an important hobby.
Yeah.
Good beers. No Budweiser here, my friends.
No,
we don't do that. Yeah, I'm the same.
No
I'm a beer. Yep. I'm a beer snob myself, and I know that gets into some of our discussions when we have our live
Hmm.
streams. Is
Yeah,
good
usually by
beers.
the time we're all on our second or
Oh,
third, the discussions start to loosen up.
oh boy, do they! Yeah,
Yeah.
we have some long ones too. Like whenever we get together, um, all the producers that come on, and there's pretty much the regular guys. Always usually these 5, 6 guys that always show up every month, and we kind of get a little destroyed and just yakking it up and cracking wise and having fun and talking models and other fun things. And we're pretty loose. It's not recorded. Thank goodness it's not recorded, so nobody can hold anything against us. We
No,
keep
we
it
did
safe.
I did a recorded live stream once with Matt Inman
Yeah,
and a group of guys, and it got out of control. I don't know if he ever posted it or not, but it
yeah,
really got out of control.
yeah. It can get going. It can get going, especially when the boys start to trying out their beers and their ales and their
Yep,
whiskeys.
yep, yep.
Gets to be a lot of fun. But having George on this podcast, this is my podcast. I like the one-on-one interviews and stuff, and this is about George. And George, I'm gonna stop yapping because everybody comes on this channel and hears me go blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You talk too much. You talk too much. Build a model, they say. Um, so uh, why don't you talk too much and tell us about the whole thing of what got you into the hobby
Wow.
and yeah, okay, go ahead. What the heck?
Well,
We got time.
I'm old, and so I got a
Yeah,
lot of
I know.
ground to
We got to go
cover. And
back
you
to what.
told me I only have an hour, so
Well, if it goes longer, it goes longer. I know we got
um,
quite the story, but
you know,
yeah.
my earliest memory of building a model, I probably was about 6.
Yeah.
And I think it was either a Piper Cub or it was at the time I think it was a Revell 1/48 scale. They did a tank truck, and they did a little stake body truck that Atlantis recently re-released. Those are some of the earliest models I remember building, and I remember building those in particular because my dad had a pretty large Lionel layout, and I was building those because they were the same scale as the Lionel O scale trains. Um, but that goes back to my early childhood. I was late 50s. I was born in 52,
Mm-hmm.
so that was probably 58, 59, somewhere in that area. I started building then, and I guess the first several years, man, I would build anything. I was particularly attracted to anything that was mechanically complex.
Mm-hmm.
So I like building, tanks and ships, and I didn't build any airplanes. Occasionally did a car. Um, you know, did a big cutaway nuclear sub and that kind of stuff. And by the time I guess I was about 12, uh, when we moved, I remember moving like 6 or 8 boxes of completed models to my new house. Um, got into cars, when I was about 12 or 13, and with that, I started building pretty much exclusively model cars, and built on and off, or really built on and off all the way through high school and college. Um, like a lot of guys, early 20s, I got married, started to build a career, so I didn't have that much time to build models. Um, but the whole time I still kept active in the hobby, even though I wasn't doing a lot of building through my 20s. I still kept active. I was reading, I guess it was Scale Auto Enthusiast magazine. I was subscribing, reading whatever I can, still occasionally buying a kit and throwing it up on the shelf, but not really doing any building. Um, Started building again, I guess in the mid '80s. My ex and I got separated, and I had some time on my hands that I didn't have before, and I met Carol, my current wife, who was always very encouraging. Excuse me, encouraging and supportive, and she kind of was getting me. She's when we moved in together, I said, I got some model cars I need to bring to the house. Is that okay? And she said, well, yeah. So I brought these boxes. I guess I probably had about 100 cars at that time, and I brought them all over in big cardboard boxes and started opening them up and showed them to her. And she goes, "None of them are built." And I said, "Well, no, that's right. It's because I got to build them." And she said, "Well, what are you waiting for?" Um, and well, I think I sent you a picture of one of the first cars I built. Then it was the MPC '83 Supra kit, Toyota Supra.
Yeah, this one
And
right
yeah,
here.
that one. And we still have that today. That sits on her desk.
Oh,
When
cool.
I met, that's what she was driving. So who wouldn't be attracted to a cute redhead driving a red Supra?
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
and that's kind of how I got started building again with her encouragement, and built pretty actively through the '80s and into the '90s. Went through a went through a NASCAR phase where all I was building was NASCAR kits, and got totally burned out on them. Yeah, that was my NASCAR. I took them out to play one day. Um, I got to,
Good
I
collection.
it was fun, but I got totally burned out on doing those NASCAR kits, and I don't have any in my collection right now. Any unbuilt ones.
Oh, we gotta
I
remedy
probably
that.
never will.
Oh,
That
this
model, that Darrell Waltrip car was actually photographed at a Mid Atlantic NNL back sometime in the '90s, and I think it ended up in the Scale Autos, maybe in the contest annual. Um,
well, I
but
I
it did.
gotta I gotta say something about this model for a couple of reasons. Because when you sent me all your photographs, this one catches my eye because one, I was a huge Darrell Waltrip fan. I was also a huge Tide car fan,
Mm-hmm.
mainly Darrell's. For some reason, after he left Hendricks and Tide went somewhere, went to Ricky Rudd, I no longer liked Tide cars. They just never caught me the way his did. But and I've built a few of them. You got the fade perfect on that. A lot of people don't catch that, and they kind of make a mistake in where the fade between, of course, the yellow and the orange, perfectly circular. But a lot of people think that it's faded between the white and the yellow, and it's not. It's a solid line, and you did it right there. And the stance. I really love your stance right there.
I, I think that's right out of the box. I don't remember doing
Really.
any chassis mods to that would have lowered it. But
Sometimes they work out. Sometimes they, when you get them built, and they ride like a 4x4. But yeah, that one. Oops, wrong guy, wrong guy, wrong guy. I don't want to be spotlighted. Let's bring you up here. Jeez, the producer. I gotta. Uh, he's off with his father somewhere, so I'm trying to handle all the engineering myself. But yeah, I really caught my eye on that NASCAR, on that Tide car, just because I love those so much. And you were kind of like building. You said when you were building the all the Cup cars, that was in the '80s, '90s when that was really hot, right? Is that what you're?
yeah, it was through the '90s. That's when I was always a race fan. Never been to a NASCAR race, and I think um, it was 1990.
Yeah.
I went up to Watkins Glen for the Trans Am series, and that's the main
Oh.
reason I went. And it happened. Trans Am cars were running on Saturday, and the Cup cars were running on Sunday. Of course, I was up there, so I just spent the weekend, and I saw those Cup cars going around that track, turning faster lap times than the Trans Am cars were,
Mm-hmm.
and they were
Oh, they
actually passing one another occasionally, which made it interesting.
yeah, they were
If
really
I
doing
remember
good
right, I
back
think you
then.
mentioned Ricky Rudd. If I remember, Ricky actually won that race that year
I know what race you're
in the
talking about
Levi
now.
Garrett car, and Darrell didn't race. That was the year that he had his wreck at Daytona,
Oh yeah.
and Cyril Vandermerve, the South African guy,
Oh
was
yeah. Wow,
driving
you
the Tide
remember that.
car. But
Yeah, I do
I
remember
kind of
that.
got hooked in NASCAR then, and I mean that's a whole long story. We can go down that rabbit trail and probably talk for 2 hours on that.
Yeah,
But
and we
that got
have.
me started building those NASCAR cars, and I really really had a lot of fun with it until I burned out on them. And then I
You,
guess I
you
kept
know,
building, well into the
you might.
90s. And in 98, I had a nice little workshop. Uh, Carol and I lived in a little, in Baltimore, they call row homes. In the rest of the country, they call them townhouses. We lived in a townhouse, and I had a small little shop, maybe about 8 by 8, where I had a little work area. And I did all my painting. I had a spray booth back there, and I actually did my building then. Even then, I wasn't really building at the shop. I had a little roll around kitchen cart that I put a top on it, and I rolled that out to the family room, and I'd sit there and build models while we watched TV, and Carol did her crafty things, and was doing that for until we moved from that house in '98 into our current home, and it was well, I got to build a shop, uh, but before I build a shop, I got to finish out the basement, and I really can't justify you know doing my models if I haven't finished out the rest of the basement. Somehow or another, I got stuck in that mindset. So for a good 20 years, I didn't do a darn thing. Um,
Oh,
I still kept up with what was going on in the hobby. I was still buying new kits that interested me as they came out. I was still popping in a mama meeting, maybe once or twice a year just to stay in touch with the guys and see what was going on. But I wasn't doing any building, and I guess it was somewhere around the end of 2019. I started really getting a bug to build again, and it was well, where am I going to build? Where am I going to paint? What am I, and kind of going back and forth, and couple things happened. I think it was right at the beginning of 2020. It was right before my birthday. I had an old friend show up at the house, who I hadn't seen for probably about 3 years, and Dennis was a modeler. He not never was really as avid or active in it as I was at one time, but he built models occasionally, and he still has a collection, a little stash of stuff that he keeps telling me I got to get over to his house to see. But he showed up at my house a couple weeks before my birthday, and it was kind of unexpected, if I remember right. And he gifted me the AMT '67 uh, Mustang GT 350. I think I might have sent you a picture of that.
you did.
That I got this gift from Dennis, and it was like, yeah, that's the one. I got this gift from Dennis, and it was like, I really, I got to build this. I can't just take a gift and let it sit on the shelf. So that kind of got me started thinking about building. And COVID hit in spring of 2020, and by that time I was getting bored with. I had a lot of time on my hands, and I was kind of bored with sim racing, which is kind of what I did a lot in those intervening years. That was kind of my hobby, doing a lot of the racing sims, some online stuff, and playing with computers that would run them. So that kind of became my hobby for a lot of years. But I realized during COVID, I was at home almost every day, and I realized, I'm spending a couple hours a day sitting here, you know, playing sim racing, and all I've got to show with it is eye strain and a sore back. So I decided, what, I gotta start building, and I think it was around July of that year. I decided I was going to pull out a kit and build it, and the kit I pulled out was the old Monogram green machine. I think I sent you a picture of that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, that thing was painted, just holding it on a coat hanger against the wall in my basement. And in fact, I'm looking right now. I can still see the green paint on the wall. Um,
I'll have
you
it up
know,
here in a moment,
I
folks.
I started doing that, and with that, that was in 20. Um, it wasn't, I guess, long after that I started my Facebook page, and I did that more to kind of share with some friends and relatives who were interested in what I was doing. Um, share with them what I was doing. And I started the Facebook page, and at first I think I set it up as kitchen table builds, um, and then I quickly discovered that if I
There,
go online and search for,
there
yeah,
we go.
that was the old monogram kit, and it's, I mean, you don't look close at that. I mean, that was the first. That was my first attempt to put glue to styrene in over 20 years. And in those intervening years, my, you know, like a lot of guys, my, you know,
We
the
gotta,
arthritis started kicking in, the eyes started
yeah.
going. So,
Well, we gotta, work our chops and get it going again. So,
so yeah, so I started building then, and I guess I already had a YouTube page that I set up, golly, back around 2012, 2011, 2012. I already had the YouTube page I set up. I was sharing videos of my son's F-150 Lightning that he rebuilt in my garage, and sharing videos of carols singing at church and stuff like that. And I started using it to post modeling videos. The first modeling related video I posted, I think, was in 21. Was was actually a response to Brian BG uh, posted a video asking to show how we organized our stash. And at that time, I was literally in the process of getting the shop set up and organizing my stash, which is, yeah, that's kind of it. Um, so it was really it was kind of timely because I was literally in the middle of getting everything organized and put up on those shelves. Yeah, that's my shop assistant. He's back there right now. Um, so I did that video in 21, I guess, and I posted a few here and there, and then I don't know what. Well, I'll tell you exactly what prompted. Being on the live stream with you and some of the other guys, and
yeah,
on the live stream with Matthew. Um, you know, I was getting encouraged to start a YouTube channel, and I honestly, I'm still not. I'm not. I don't consider myself to be a great modeler at all. Probably no more than average. So I don't have a lot of tips and tricks to share. But what I do have is 60 some years of modeling information rattling around in this skull. That every now and then I share a nugget that somebody finds amusing or finds interesting. I've got knowledge on a lot of kits. I have a lot of old kits that I've
yeah,
accumulated over the years, and I like sharing them. Not big on doing unboxing, but I decided to ramp up the 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 YouTube thing with your encouragement and encouragement I was getting from Matthew, and that's kind of what I've been doing. Been having fun. Really enjoy the YouTube. Like a lot of modelers, I guess. Growing up, modeling was pretty much a solitary endeavor. Um, when I was, I guess, late elementary school, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, modeling was still cool then. And in fact,
yeah,
the cool guys were the ones that built all the model cars. So
yeah.
that was a cool thing to do. And then all of a sudden, the hormones kicked in, and we started discovering girls in real cars. And it wasn't cool to build model cars anymore. But I kept building in the closet,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize that. I thought I was pretty secretive about it. But I recently had a visit from an old high school friend, actually a guy that I've known since fourth grade. I stopped by to visit for a weekend or a couple days. He was traveling through, and showed him my shop and what I was doing. And I said, well, I don't know if you realize it, Steve, but that whole time we were all hanging out together and raising hell and going to concerts at the Fillmore East, I was still building model cars. And he said, "Oh, I knew that. You thought it was a secret." I mean,
They found
I,
you
I,
out.
I, I spent a winter break, my freshman year in college. I spent the whole winter break putting together a Tamiya 112 Lotus 49. So
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I spent my
Those are
winter
good
break.
kits. Those are
Other
good
guys were
kits.
going to Florida. I was holed up in my room in snowy Wayne, New Jersey, building a Lotus. But I kept building, on and off, and kind of going back to what I was saying, modeling was always a solitary endeavor. We
Yeah.
holed up in our room by ourselves, and I think that I don't know if that tends to appeal to introverts or tends to make you an introvert, but the social aspect of modeling that's come into play through social media and the
Yeah.
internet,
It's changed it a
to me,
lot.
it's been a game changer. It's been
It
a game
has.
changer for me personally, and it's been a game changer, I think, for the hobby.
Yeah.
In that all the interaction that we're getting, I, I get more interaction with modelers now in a day than I used to get in a month.
Yeah.
And and it's through the social media, through Facebooks and doing the YouTubes and doing the live streams and just having the interaction and the contact with all these modelers all around the country, including some absolutely fabulous modelers.
Yeah.
It's not only it not only has a social element to it that was kind of missing before, that I've come to enjoy. Um, it also, I think, just by osmosis, all that talent rubs off.
Yeah.
And
It does.
I say this with all the humility I'm capable of mustering. I look at the quality of my building since I started 4 years ago, and how it's improved over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm finally getting the hang of this.
Yeah. Yeah. And something like you said, you brought up, it was an introvert hobby, I guess. Maybe. I think so many of not so much introvert. I think it was because I was definitely not an introvert. Um, because like when I actually got into serious about car modeling. I didn't do car modeling, but maybe a couple of models when I was a kid. And when I did do modeling as a kid, it was more Star Wars. I was into Star Wars, so it was spaceships for me. But it really wasn't a part of my childhood that much. There was little pieces like something between my dad and I, but modeling didn't come to play to me till I was out of high school, around 18 years old. But at that time in my life, what was consuming my life was I was playing in heavy metal
Yeah,
bands. And you're definitely not an introvert when you're on stage and, a lot of girls and things like that happening. And, but it stayed pretty steady with me. And it was kind of funny how I kind of kept it hidden. But then the guys in my band would find out about it. And it seemed like everybody was a car guy too, because we also had our hot rods and stuff. It was the '80s, so it was,
yeah.
you didn't have to be rich to have a cool, you know, car. Hot, from at that time, 20 years ago the muscle car era or less, So,
Yeah,
but
well, that was a great thing about growing up in that era,
yeah,
late
well, yeah,
'60s, early. I mean, I
it's
got
a
my
little
driver's
fuzzy, but
license in 19. Yeah, there we go. I got my driver's license in 1969,
oh
and
boy,
that was
you were
that
way ahead of me.
that 340 Dart was my first car, and that was a cheap car then.
Yeah, yeah. Well, even boy, oh boy, I happened to see a car yesterday in my neighborhood. It was a '67 Barracuda, and it was all there, and they're like worth a lot of money today. The guy was asking 8,500 for it, but it was not nice. It wasn't nice at all. You look down the side of it, and it was waving to you like a parade. It was not. It would take a lot, but it was a drivable car. 8,500. And I thought to myself when I saw that, I used to buy cars like that for $800,
Mm-hmm.
just in the '90s. Maybe $1,000, and those were the type of cars I always bought. $1,000, $800. But yeah, they were super cheap back in the day, and even for you back, I can imagine what it'd be like being in the '70s, especially when everybody got rid of their they're
Yep.
muscle cars.
Well,
Nobody
when the gas
and
thing
yeah,
when the
that
gas thing hit, yeah, that
you couldn't sell a Hemi car back in the 70s.
well, by the time the gas thing hit, I had I kind of beat the life out of that dart and traded the thing in, and I think of all the cars I ever owned, I got what still I look back at probably was the most fun. Um, I got one of the first Mark One Ford Capris that were imported
Oh,
from Germany with the
yeah.
2.8-liter V6, and that little car was a blast. Um, it it was small, it was light,
Yeah.
it was responsive. I was able to do some, put a onset exhaust system on it with a pair of headers, and it sounded sweet. Um, I lowered the suspension and had Coney shocks and had a sway bar on the back end as big around as my arm. And I mean, I could sling that thing around curves. It was it was so much fun to drive. Um, but if you're familiar with Ford, German and British cars from the '70s, um, it was what's going to go wrong with it this week.
Right. Exactly.
That the thing had a penchant for eating headlight switches and breaking shift levers. I
Good
mean, I got
grief.
to a point where I used to keep a spare shift lever in my car, and I could replace that shift lever in about 40 minutes. This was a fun
Necessities,
car, but
essentials.
so I went to something that got a little better gas mileage than that big 4 barrel on the 340.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. They were, in modern technology as the years went on, you could some cars they started having more horsepower using less gas and
Well, that's I look at the cars that's in part why if you look at my collection of my hoard, um,
yeah.
I have very few kits that came in of vehicles later than 72, 74.
Yeah.
Um, I think the newest, I've got a 75 Monza because that's what I had after the Capri. I had a little V8 Monza.
Oh,
Um,
I love
the
those.
only thing I have newer
I
than
always wanted
that
one.
was I have some newer Ferrari kits. But even in that case, I got to be a bit of a snob in that I don't have anything. I don't have any Ferrari kits of cars that were developed after Enzo's death. The uh, the most recent Ferrari kit I have is the F40, and that was the last car that Enzo put his name on. So
Hold on,
I'm,
you could better look
I just
busy.
don't find new cars that interesting.
Yeah, I hear you on that. There's a few that came about over the past few years, but I'm still a old time. Okay, buddy. Hey, come here. Say hi. So the boss
Hey
is
kid,
here.
how you doing?
uh, yeah, I got in the I do like '80s cars because that's when my coming of age happened then, and I was really into the Trans Ams. I really love them and the Z28s, the third gens. Love those cars. That's why it's so strange that I end up with a 1988 Mustang 50. But those always had my interest because towards the end of the 80s, for some reason, off the showroom floor back then when we were driving those cars around and they were new, the Mustangs were kicking our butt. And I was like, what? And then I started investigating why as years went on. And it's like, I got to own one of those one day. And it ends up being the car I ended up owning for 11 years. But I really love those. But I tell you, my thing is, in a majority of the cars I've owned, I love the late 60s, early 70s time period. I really would love to have one again.
Oh,
And
I had
and
a
my Mustang doesn't do that for me. What those cars did for me.
later on. I think it was in 1980. I bought a '78 Trans Am,
Mm,
and it was one of the everybody knew the black and gold Smoky Bandit edition.
yeah.
What wasn't well known, unless you were a Pontiac guy, is that Pontiac had a gold edition,
Yep.
and that's what we owned. My ex and I owned that, and
That was a
that was
pretty
just a
one.
cruiser. That was
Yeah.
just a fun cruiser. I
Yeah.
bought it for myself, and my ex had absolutely no interest in cars at all, but she kind of fell in love with it, and she sort of adopted it, and that led me to say, okay, fine. I sold our Mercury Zephyr station wagon and bought a 70 GTO.
Nice.
And that was my daily driver for a number of years. Ended up losing the Trans Am in the divorce. I kept the GTO,
Oh,
and
good.
but eventually had to sell it. It was just I wasn't able to do anything with it, and it was needing work. And that was really kind of the last fun car I've had. But yeah, I definitely the newer cars just don't do it for me.
Yeah, it's it that and now to have an older car, even like now, like we're talking in the '80s, and I've got my, I wouldn't be able to have a 1988 Fox Body 50 today. They're just too expensive. I bought it like I knew they were going to go up in price, but '80s cars 11 years ago were still on the low. And I one car as far as from the '80s, a couple cars like I've had my share of Z28s and Trans Ams, but I sure wouldn't mind having one again. Or one I always wanted was a Monte Carlo SS. I'd love to have a mid '80s, Monte Carlo SS.
Yeah.
But I, I like my Fox body. It's fun, but they just don't. They don't give me that pleasure that I got where I just have this thing for the way the cars were. But to have, a '69, what I started with, which would be my ultimate, cool to have back, is my very first car. My dad bought it new and was handed down to me. Was a '69 Cutlass S
Ah,
convertible, and I love those. I love the, you know, I would love to have a '69 Cutlass. That would be like ultimate for me. But to get anything like that, it's just such incredible amounts of money today. So we build models.
well, and even again, kind of going back to where we kind of started down this path. You know, back then, and now I sound like one of those guys that complained about the price of model kits, right? Going back then, a young kid with not much more than a young kid bagging groceries, for God's sakes, could put together enough money to afford to buy a fun car. And
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think that in part, the fact that kids today can't do that.
Yeah.
How much, I guess, I don't know, maybe that's why we see all these kids running around in Honda Civics and
Mm.
Subarus. But a kid today can't do that. There's the it's they're out of sight. And anything that's interesting is God, uh, I don't know where Mustangs are selling these days, but Mustangs and Challengers, they're 40, 50,
They're
60 grand,
yeah,
brand new.
they are they're yeah, they are high dollar even
I mean,
for
it's gotten it's yeah. I mean, they're very sophisticated and they've got performance that we only dreamt about 30 years ago. But and then if you need to do anything on them, you got to take them to the dealer because nobody else knows how to work on them.
yeah, they are. They're very difficult to work on. It's just not like what it was. I mean, the young kids, they're, I don't know, I guess they're getting a good job. Not kids. It's not kids anymore, but guys in their 20s, they're, if they're getting themselves a good job and they're just financing themselves into oblivion to have a modern hot rod today. It's not
Yeah,
like what it
yeah.
was for us,
And
man. We could,
if they're chances are if they've got themselves a job that's good enough to afford to buy that car, they're probably carrying a bunch of student loans too.
yeah, no kidding.
Um,
No kidding. So, that's, it's not like what it was. And I'm not going to put myself into that to have those as much. It would be fun, but, I was really liking the Mustangs when they came out, uh, back in '06. That when that what they
that
call
was
the
when
S197.
the first
the
kind of
rest.
throwback Mustang came out.
Yeah, and of
Yeah.
course I ended up. It took me 10 years after they came out to finally get myself one, and I still have it. I love those cars. I love them a lot, and but that was a first time in a long time I felt that any cars were exciting coming out of Detroit again. And the Camaro was fine, and it was cool, and the Challenger was cool, but the Mustangs, even as they went on into the, I didn't like them as much as those first years of the S197. Then they went into the next one. I like those cars, wouldn't mind having one. I don't really like it today. I think it lost its touch. The the Mustang that they put out now is eh. They just all look, and I just think there's too much technology in them now. There's just no fun to me. I mean, I
Well,
imagine they're fun to drive and stuff, but there's more to it. To
well, I
us,
mean,
we used to like working on our cars
I
too. That was a
I was
fun
just
part
gonna
of it.
say that's another aspect of the owner of owning those cars that has been lost. How
Yeah.
many generation of guys our age or my age or your age or younger learned about cars by
Hmm.
trial and error.
Yeah. Really.
I we we worked on the cars ourselves. We broke them and then we fixed them.
Yeah. It was well, and that's what brought me into model cars at that one particular time. When I had gotten out of high school, I had my dad gave me that Cutlass S convertible. I got into an accident. I rebuilt the car myself, going to the junkyard, getting parts. I started working on the thing, and it got me. I always had an interest in cars, and it kind of, when I was a little kid, Hot Wheels, Hot Wheels, Hot Wheels was my thing. I always loved cars. But in high school, I actually wasn't a big car guy. Got really wrapped up into the music, and that brought me back to being into cars, but now playing with the big ones, the real ones. And I kind of started having some friends that were involved in racing, and I started going to the track with my car and just doing fun stuff like that. And that is what brought me into the model building, because I wanted to build a model of my car. And at the time, it was before MPC came out with the 69 442. So I found the closest thing was the monogram 69 GTO Judge, and that was the one that got me going. And I haven't stopped since. So, you know, so it was cars that brought me into car modeling,
Yeah,
real cars.
yeah. I kind of stumbled into cars when I was a little older. Really,
Yeah.
I although I my earliest memory. I think I shared this on one of the live streams. I can remember right about the time I started building models. In fact, I was in kindergarten, so I would have been 5. I remember walking home from school. My mom picked me up from school, and we were walking across the street, and late 40s, early 50s Cadillac went by with those little funky little taillight
Mm-hmm.
fin things, and it caught my eye for some reason. And I asked my mom. I said, "Hey, mom, what kind of car is that?" And she said, "Oh, that's a Cadillac. That's what rich people drive." And that was the first time in my life I ever noticed a car and learned how to recognize it. And I didn't build many cars for a long, long time. I did military stuff, and probably the my holy grail kit is Revell had a space station that was
Oh,
like that opened up, and you can see all the
yes.
interior detail. And it's listed on ScaleMates, and I've sent a couple emails off to Atlantis asking if they still had if they had those molds, and I've never heard back. But if they ever come out with that kit, that's going on my shelf. I'm getting that thing. But anyway, I built stuff like
I
that,
agree with you. I know what one
and
you're talking about. I love stuff like
what
that.
got me into cars was I guess it was maybe my 12th birthday. Um, my folks got me one of the American Flyer Gilbert slot racing sets
Mm-hmm.
that I think it was 132nd scale, um, and it came with two 62 Corvettes. And with that, now there's another car I can recognize, right? A 62
Yeah, the
Corvette.
Fets.
And of course, so I'm kind of getting into the Corvettes and kind of getting into playing with cars, and they came out with the Stingray, the '63 split window,
Mm-hmm.
and for an 11-year-old kid seeing a '63 split window, it was like seeing a spaceship. And that was not only the car that really got me into cars. That kit was actually one of the first car kits I built. That I went to the store specifically to get a car kit, and I was looking for that kit.
Yeah.
And somebody did a group build a couple years ago on build what model was it that got you into building cars, and I pulled down. I had an original '63 AMT '63 in the original box, and I built that. And
Mm.
it boy, talk about deja vu. It just brings back memories of sitting at my desk in my bedroom when I was a kid. Um, Only this time I didn't brush paint it with Tester's blue. I it I used some nice paint from Scale Finishes, and it's
Oh,
just it
that
really came out nice. I was
yeah,
really
that
happy
makes it.
with it, and it was just fun. And that's the car that really got me into cars, and that's the kit that really got me into building model cars. So
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know you've been playing a lot with the scale finishes. I know you talk a lot about it, and I have been seeing such an improvement in your painting and some of the models. Like your most recent one will show right here. I mean, you've been improving and getting better. I mean, that's the thing about in this hobby that you strive to just do better at every kit, and they're just coming along, and you're like, I think your wheels. Now I take it that these were 3D printed tires and wheels, and you definitely got
yeah,
them
yeah,
down.
they were 3D printed. They're from Mean Machine,
Mm-hmm.
and the rim, the spokes, and the little hub in the middle are, as well as the brake disc. They're all separate. They're like four pieces.
Oh, really?
So it made it
I need to
really
find out.
easy to paint the spokes and then chrome the rims.
And what's the company that makes that wheel? Because
Mean
I need
Machines,
Mean Machines.
or
I'm
no?
going to look at it.
Hang on, is that the name of it? I think so. Hang on, let me go to the Google machine.
Yeah, that always helps out. Yeah,
I
that
think it's
that
Mean Machine.
will show the engine here.
Yeah,
Nice
Mean Machine
light detail.
models.
Oh boy, I like. I got to get a set of those wheels. I love those, and I have a project I was thinking of wanting to put some torque thrusts on.
Well, the kit
I like the
actually
idea
came
that
with
they're all
torque
separate.
thrusts.
Yeah.
They had torque thrusts in the kit, but I I've played around with trying to brush paint the spokes on the kit
Yeah.
wheels, and actually the best look I could get was with the AK Interactive uh, acrylic markers.
Yeah.
There that I've been using those
Yeah.
a lot. I'm using them on
Yeah.
my
Those are nice.
I'm using them on the I'm doing the Tamiya Alpine A110 for
Mm-hmm.
the rally car group build, and I did most of the engine detailing with those, and
Yeah.
they just the
They are wonderful, aren't
it
they?
goes down smooth. It's not a real thick paint, um, and it's good. If I'm doing something quick, I could just grab that and not have to play around with cleaning brushes and all that.
Right. There's no cleanup because it works like the best brush you could have.
And I mean,
I've done a
I wouldn't,
video on them.
I don't mind. I wouldn't mind doing a cleanup, but if I can get the same results or better and not have to.
I got to be honest, these AK markers, I'm ready to just chuck all my little bottles of paint and brushes and everything and just use those. I'm really hoping, and I heard they are, is they're going to come out with more of those metal colors. They need a few more of those metal
Mm-hmm.
colors because I, like you, I just do all my little my metal details on my chassis and on my engines with those now. And oh, they're phenomenal.
And
they do such a nice job.
I think that's one thing we're lacking now in paint colors.
Yeah.
I just there's a gap in metal colors,
Yeah.
and if you look at Tamiya or Mr. Color, they have some nice what I'll call darker metal colors, like a dark gunmetal,
Yeah.
or the Tamiya's got a flat metallic gray, but they're dark. And then
Yeah.
you go over, at the other end of the spectrum, you've got the chrome silver and the gloss aluminum and flat aluminum. That's why I actually mixed. If you look at
Yep.
those spokes on those wheels, that's about a 50-50 mix of and that's less than that. I started out with the Tamiya metallic gray, and I just added a little bit of the gloss aluminum to give it a
Oh,
little bit of
okay.
a shine, and also to lighten it up a little bit to get
Yeah,
the
because
look I wanted for those wheels. And
that's a
that's
good.
what I did. And you can see there's just a little bit of a gloss, not a high gloss. It's not flat.
Yeah, and that is a good look. I really like that. I'm gonna have to.
I actually bought a bunch of bottles of different metallic colors with the intent of mixing up a whole range of those intermediate colors for myself.
See, that's a video you should do.
That well, I did one on one of the first videos I did. I was playing with the Tamiya acrylics,
Hmm.
and I did a spray out of Tamiya acrylic candies. I
Hmm.
used I sprayed all their metallic colors, and then I spray over each one. I sprayed all of the clear colors, and so I got I did I don't know I had like 35 spoons sitting on my desk, um, and I wanted to get a range of what those candy colors could do, and what kind of prompted me to do that? You put up that 67 Shelby
Yeah.
was the first time I tried that. I used the that is Tamiya um, transparent red or clear red over gold leaf,
Hmm.
and that was actually the second paint job on that car. I ruined the first one by trying to put the decals on. Um, they just they went on crooked and they got stuck, and I couldn't get them off, so I stripped it and repainted it. But I was really happy with the quality of that candy. I mean, I was one of my early builds, so it's not the greatest paint job,
You got the look though, right? You know, the
but
candy look is right.
those colors really look nice, and I do have a video up on my YouTube on using all of them.
Yeah. Well, you should do it because torque thrust and getting that center, that is something for years I've heard about. Man, how do you do that? How do you do that? And get the color right. And that is would be just do a video on mixing that color, what you did to get that because you nailed it. I'm pulling the picture up again. I think
Well,
you really nailed the look right.
I love playing with paint and color. You the podcast you just did. I think
Hmm.
I just finished watching last night where you talked about what's your favorite part of building.
Yeah.
Um, I I I really enjoy painting. There's not just not just brush painting, but if I'm nothing relaxes me as much as sitting at the spray booth and putting down a nice layer of airbrush and a nice color.
Oh, that's see,
That
that's
just it's just all the tension just goes out of my
oh,
body.
that's beautiful because it's completely opposite for me. All the tension comes into my body,
Yeah.
and then I want to jump off the roof. So,
Well, it didn't. Well, and the other thing, and is bare metal foil. I mean, that used to have me ready to rip my eyes out.
hmm.
Um, but I just kind of kept on it, and
Yeah,
I picked up a couple of tips from Don Yost's videos.
yeah,
May he rest in peace.
he did.
Uh,
He had good
I
tips.
picked up some tips from him, and I just I got so comfortable with doing it that it's now fun.
Yeah, yeah,
That doesn't mean I want to do a lot of it. I just finished that Impala with a good bit of foil on it,
yeah.
and
Plus, here's it.
it's 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 nice having. I'm working on that Alpine now, which has no foil. So that's
Nice break from the foil.
yeah. I gotta break up. I gotta break them up every now and again and use something
Yeah.
that doesn't just to get it done. But I've come to like things that I used to not like
Yeah.
like painting.
Yeah, that's good. And bare metal foiling. And I'll
And
tell
I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that I've just been building a lot more.
yeah, yeah, you are cranking it out.
I'm
I've
spending a
noticed that.
lot more time. Well, and again, that goes back to we part of the reason I didn't build for a long time is I'm one of those I'm kind of a strange guy, I guess, in that I'm a guy that actually after 40 years of marriage still likes his wife, and
Hmm.
we like to spend time together, and
That's fantastic.
we like to do things together, and it's like I don't want to hole up in the basement for 3 or 4 hours a night. you know I'd rather be with Carol, and it
Yeah,
works out just fine. She does watercolors, and I build model cars, and we both do it at the kitchen table. We don't eat at our
yeah.
kitchen table anymore. We eat in the family room or at the counter because our kitchen table is filled up with watercoloring and watercolor stuff and model. Yeah, yeah. That was taken a couple of years ago.
What you got this one here?
Yeah,
That's great though, man.
but
That's where the name of the whole
so
thing, even though what
she started, and again, this
this
goes back during.
this is your place now, huh?
Yeah, that's I'm sitting there now.
That is a nice setup you got there though. I know I'm always like, so you got this beautiful workshop there, um but I go, but you're still set up at the kitchen table working.
Yeah. Well, it's Carol started this thing again back during COVID, which is when I started building.
Yeah.
Was some some I don't know if it was a YouTube page or a kitchen a Facebook page. Somebody started a 100 days of art, where
Mm-hmm.
for 100 days straight you do at least something with a piece of art, and she started painting. So she'll sit down at the kitchen table after dinner and spend an hour and a half every night,
Yeah.
and that's what I've been doing. So I'm getting a lot more done, which
That
is has its
yeah,
which is
it's
nice,
she's
and
kind of your muse.
yeah, exactly. And because I'm getting a lot more done, I feel like my skills are you know improving, to a
Yeah.
point where I'm not embarrassed anymore to put a model on a table at a show.
Yeah.
I feel like you, I'm not going to win a lot, but I'll what, at least when I put my models on the table, they look like they belong there. They don't look like
Yeah.
what's this guy thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's what it's about. I mean, getting into the whole thing I beat on my channel and the podcasts I've been involved in is man, go highly recommend people to go to shows. Stop worrying about what your model looks like. Don't worry about it's not about that so much. It's just get involved and put it on the table. If you win, you win. If you don't, you don't. Who cares? It's about the camaraderie that you build and the
Yep.
friendships that you make, and you want you when that's a part of um, that's a part of the hobby now. Where we going back to what we were kind of talking about at one time. It was an introvert, I guess. Like I said, I wasn't really ever much of an introvert in it, but discovered that really wasn't because back in the old days we had your occasional show you go to. You find there was, I mean, shows were big, and everybody had a model car club. I mean, that's what really got me going was when I got into the model car club. But you want to get out there and meet other modelers, and you'll find out what great friendships you have, and a big part of it is they want to see your work.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I've always said I had a little thing I put on my Facebook, and I think well, you and I discussed this, and I'm gonna have to pull it up because I never remember things. Good thing I wrote this down because it was such a nice quote, and you were the first person I said it to,
I know where you're
and
going.
and you uh, and you got me thinking about it, and like when you got impressed, it's like, oh, I have something here. That's
Absolutely.
and I actually want to do a video about this, but I basically said I have never judged the quality or integrity of a car modeler by the level of his building, but by the quality of his passion for the hobby. And that is, I think that you got to not worry about it, because I have found guys that just came into the hobby, and you look at their model car, and it's rough, it's sloppy, but they're giving it hell,
Mm-hmm.
and they're enjoying what they're doing. But they might build something that inspires me. I've seen models that is definitely, and I'm not saying this that I'm so great and all this, but way below my build level. Okay, and only because I'm saying that, not because they were a crappy builder, but or anything, or their model was crappy. They're just starting out. I built like that when I started out. I totally get it, and I had people that were. I was lucky enough to have some guys that were winners at Salt Lake who kind of like, that's great. You want to get better? Let me tell you what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I improved. And when I see, sometimes I'll see a model that someone who might not be that great of a builder yet, but they do something that freaking inspires the heck out of me. And I've literally had guys go, dude, that is so cool. Would it offend you if I built something like that? Because that is neat, and it gets me. Sometimes it sparks another squirrel for me. But I get inspired by the enthusiasm of the
Mm-hmm.
model builders, and that's why I say, stop. You know, I I, I almost every model that I build, if I'll take it to a show. I don't care. I have all different levels, and I don't have where that's just a shelf model. I like to take them at least to a model meeting or something. I like my stuff seen, you know. If it turns into be an absolute disaster, and I have a few, the paint went crackle, crackle, crackle on me. I got a
Mm-hmm.
couple of those. I still will take them because there's something neat about the model, and I
Well,
love to share my work with the other modelers, and I like seeing everybody else's stuff. So, man, get to a show. Never worry about your level of building.
I didn't share a picture of it, but that Ferrari California that I finished
Yeah.
falls
Oh,
in that category.
I love that car.
It's you know it I literally got it to the 1 yard line, totally thrilled with it, and then I screwed it up completely.
Yeah.
And so much so that I have found and purchased a replacement kit. I am gonna rebuild that. I'm gonna redo it exactly
But
like
your
I did
paint,
that.
it's too bad you didn't send me a picture of it, because
Well,
the uh, the paint on that, though, the color you picked, I really like that. I remember when you showed it, I went, "Wow, George!" I didn't see the mistakes.
I
Sometimes we're worse
I
on
had it on my
ourselves.
bench
Yeah, I
during
love
one of the
that
live
color.
streams,
Yeah,
and
that is.
that is a Mr. Color. That's right out of the bottle.
Oh yeah, they have. Oh, I love that. I
You
think I
know,
have that color. That's good to know.
it's I think it's metallic blue green or something like
I have
that,
that color. Yes.
and it's a perfect match. I decided I wanted to build a Ferrari, and
It's a
but I didn't
beautiful
want it to
model.
be red, so
Mm-hmm.
I just started Google. I had started this kit. I actually started that kit back in the '90s, and I had testers. I'd sprayed it with testers number 3 red, and put it in a box, and we moved, and it sat in that box for 20 years. And when I decided to build a Ferrari, it was like, well, why don't I finish the one I started 20 years ago?
Yeah.
So I pulled it out, and I just didn't want to do it in red, and I started poking around on the internet, and I found a picture of the 250 California in that color, um, which was called, what the heck is it? It was called Azure Metallic. Now I wrote out to, I sent a note to Jamestown at Scale Finishes and asked if he can, you know give me, can you do this color? And he said, yeah, sure. And I got this. Ferrari has had a color with by this name. Have had like 3 or 4 different colors of the same name over the years.
Yeah.
And this is the color that's used. What he sent me is the stuff that's currently being used on Ferraris. It's
Ah.
really more of a light metallic blue. It doesn't have kind of that greenish turquoise aqua color that to me is what really pops about that color.
Yeah,
And
that's
you know,
what
it's funny.
catches
It's
my eye.
again talking back about painting and what inspires us. Um, I find better than half my builds are inspired by me seeing a paint color that I like and saying, you know what, I think that color would look good on, and that's what I build.
Yeah.
Because I
Uh,
thought I see a color that I think would look good on a certain car, and
yeah,
uh,
I get
and
that.
that's what. So color and paint really kind of is a catalyst for me in a lot of my builds and colors, and builds and models and what I choose to build. So
Well, that's kind of a thing with me too. Is color as much as I when it comes to the painting process, and I come from that industry. I used to be involved in all different aspects of painting real cars
well,
on and off since the mid '80s, and I just I don't know. I just always have disasters, so it has made me very tense when I'm painting. But I love the picking of a color and having an idea. And I have so many paints set up for all these different ideas of of cars. Yeah, like there was a point in time I was, oh my goodness, this was 10 years ago. I was managing a an automotive paint store, and I got into mixing paints, and that was like my favorite part of the day. I'd go
mhm.
spend hours mixing customers' paints, and I started playing around and coming up with my own style. And I mixed a ton of paints for myself and all the usuals. I got
Yeah,
tons
I've
of
I've
Petty
had fun
Blue.
mixing colors.
Yeah, I love mixing paints, and I came up. I had this color in my head for a model that I still haven't finished, and I want to use it in a couple things. I really love a vermilion, a orangish red, and
Funny you should say that.
I came up with my own, and it is so nice, and I have it, but I bet you the paint's no good now, and I just got that mix just right to where the color just glows. Yeah, I love.
This
Uh,
this was the USAC group build from a
yeah.
couple years ago, and I started building this. It's funny as we're talking, I'm reaching this, and you're talking about vermilion. I started building this, and I first painted it with Vallejo
Mm-hmm.
Vallejo vermilion,
Really.
and I loved the color, but when I tried to put, I was I had done one build before that using Createx clear over um, Vallejo, and it worked out okay, but it came out when I painted this. When I tried to put the clear on the on this kit, it got hazy,
Oh,
the whole thing. So
that's
I
too bad.
said, screw it. I stripped it, and this is a mix. This is not out of the bottle. This paint and this paint came out beautiful. This
That
is
looks good.
Tamiya acrylic. It's a 50-50 mix of their red and their yellow,
Really.
or red and yellow, red and orange. It's a
Okay.
50-50 mix. There's no clear coat on this. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah, those things will come out nice if you get everything. If you hit all your right buttons and you get a good flow going out of your brush and you lay those down, they turn out
yeah,
nice.
this came. I mean, the paint laid down beautiful. It was fun. I did a this build was fun. Um, I used the real wood bed
Yeah.
from, I think it was Detail Master
Yep.
or Model Car Garage, and a 3D printed big block Ford from Matthew,
Nice.
and
That
and
turned
that
out nice.
and the engine was all done with all clad. But yeah, this was a fun build. But you mentioned vermilion, and just mixing colors. That was and that if I put a drop of the Vallejo vermilion on top of that, you wouldn't see it.
Oh, nice. So
It's
you hit
it's
the mark.
it's spot on.
Perfect. So you got the vision you had in your head that you were able to realize. That's
Well, I
always
didn't want it to be
a
red, and
thing.
I didn't want it to be orange, and I liked the vermilion. I thought that was a
Yeah.
nice, a
I
nice mix.
I haven't done that. Has been in for years. Having I got a couple of projects going that I really want. the cars to be a vermilion, and I don't have any finished models yet of that color, and I've got like 3 or 4. And I just happened to see today, it caught my eye, a little video on Facebook, and I put it onto my um, my regular car modeling Facebook group. This car just caught my eye. It was like a 67 super stock car, an old one, and
That
this
that
car this car
the
was it.
Camaro.
Did you see that
Yes, with
Schmidt? It was sponsored by
Schmidt's
Schmidt.
the Schmidt's beer sponsorship.
Holy cow, that thing was that was vermilion. I was like,
Yep,
that's the color I've been
yep,
chasing right there on that
yep.
car, and it looks so good. And I just love that color. And I'm not a huge red fan. I'm actually green is really my favorite color. Green and blues. That's why I loved your Ferrari hit right in between. I
Yeah.
love those two colors. I usually shy away from red. Red doesn't really, unless it's like in my head, like my Porsche that I was doing that I got to finish. That's a little beat up. The Italian red. I really love the Italian red from Tamiya out of the rattle can. Then that red you can control by what you lay it down on. Like if you lay it down on red oxide, it darkens it up. If you lay it down on white, it brightens it up. And I like that red, but I'm not a huge fan of just red cars. I really like to lean it more towards the orange hue,
Mm-hmm.
and just haven't and I haven't seen that in any pre-mixed ready to rock, in a rattle can like Tamiya or Mr. Hobby. So it's going to be something that I have to mix myself and make it happen. So hopefully I'll get there.
Well, I don't. I'll use rattle can primer,
Yeah.
and I'll use rattle can clear. The primer gets wet sanded, and the clear gets
Yep.
wet sanded and polished. But for color coats, I you know, I start. I got an airbrush, 30 some years ago, and I haven't stopped. It's all I
Yeah.
use
Me. Yeah. I'm lazy.
for color.
Yeah.
Except when I started building again, and I didn't have my airbrush, and uh, my compressor had been boxed up for 20 years, and the diaphragm in it was shot, so it wasn't working. And
Yeah.
so, the first couple builds I did that Green Hornet using Tester's rattle can, and
I'm sorry.
and then I did the AMT 59 Imperial,
Hmm.
and that was my first, last, and only Rust-Oleum paint job. But
Oh, you did it, didn't you?
but
Had to do it.
we won't go. We won't go there.
We're not going to go there.
We're not going to
That
go
gets
there.
dodgy. That gets a little
Which
scary.
is a shame because other than the fact that the paint looks like you know looks like it's got diaper rash. It is other than that, the build, considering it was the second build I did,
Yeah.
first time playing with bare metal foil in something like 20 some years, it came out okay. It's just the paint on it just it's at the back of my display cabinet.
Yeah, I hear you on that. There are some models that you're probably not going to bust out of the display cabinet, even me. But
I
yeah,
got a couple of them there that I'm not
yeah.
particularly proud of. Yeah.
Well, George, I want to talk before we get off here. I want to talk a little bit back to your channel.
Okay.
Um, like again, really encourage everybody to go check out George's channel. You got quite a few videos up now. You've gotten your chops, I think, because the last couple of videos you did about the screw bottom cars, that was a really good video, and that was a video that, and sometimes I think some of the guys who lean on doing a sit down and just talk to the camera thing and discuss things, you got to really know how to be a storyteller to do those good and keep people engaged. And I think you did a really good job
Well,
on that
thank
one.
you.
I watched it right to the end because I am a very, even if you're my friend, I'm not going to watch your I'm not going to
No,
watch
well,
your junk.
that's
But
what
you
that's
actually, honest, kept me engaged in that. It was an excellent subject. It was a recent subject at the time because we had just done, because you said you got inspired by what our podcast,
yeah.
what's my podcast called? What, the model? Car Enthusiast podcast.
Model
I
car
got
is
I got to get
yeah.
that. Yeah, I
You
got
were
to get that
discussing
drill.
the not the screw
Ugh.
bottoms, but
Yeah,
the
I you
craftsman
know
kits, which are basically screw bottoms,
yeah
second generation screw
I
bottoms.
am a huge screw bottom kit fan. Have been since the beginning. I do not stub my nose at them at all. And I thought you made some excellent points, and it was really good. And it was nice. You had kits all there to show, the box art and what those kits looked like from the box art point of view, and you had a few that you had built, and they were all beautiful. And
Uh,
it was just an excellent thing. So you have started over on your Facebook group. It's not a page, it's a group, so you can
mhm.
join and interact in there, everyone. And there will be a link down in the description to go to that. And then also at the end of this video, I want to say real quick, at the end of this video, there is a link directly to George's YouTube channel. Please go over there and put that into your click on so that you
Well,
get notifications, everything, and start checking his channel out.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
yeah, definitely. Well, you're
I
going to be doing a screw bottom. You've got a screw bottom challenge. That is it going to start at the first of the year, or what's the whole
what
plan with
I
that?
did is, I put the announcement up, I guess, about 2 weeks ago when I got the
Hmm.
idea. I did a little follow up on it earlier this week. I'm having a hard time sharing YouTubes to different Facebook pages. I don't know what the issue is. It used
Something's
to be
happened.
it used to be so easy to cross post and to post it on my own page and then share it, at the same time post it on others. I mean, I tried to post that video this morning on the Impala, and I got as far as my page, but that's it. But anyway, I what we're doing is the official start is December 1st. But you don't need to wait to December 1st if you're going to be participating. I was blown away at the response that I've got.
I
Uh,
I
that
I'm not.
video, I mean, that video probably has had more views than every other video I've done combined.
Yeah, that was the thing. I noticed that you got a
I mean,
lot of hits on
it
that one.
not only did it have a lot of views, but since I posted that video, which is 2 weeks, I guess, um, I've picked up about 150 subscribers
Excellent.
and crossed crossed the almighty 1,000 subscriber threshold.
Nice. Congrats.
So I feel validated. Uh,
Yeah.
but I got a lot of response to it. But to answer your question, December 1st is the official kickoff. You don't need to wait to then. I you know all I'm asking folks to do is to get involved and post it.
Yeah.
I would like to see all of the Facebook groups and the YouTube channels just absolutely covered with screw bottom builds.
Let's do it, people.
That would
I'm
be my
for it.
wish. I really think that they're overlooked,
Yeah.
or even worse, in some cases, looked down upon.
Yeah,
But
that's
they build up nice. They're great slump busters. Excuse me, and it's not only you're not limited to old kits. There's a lot of more recent kits that are being released today that trace their roots back to those
yeah.
screw bottom
They
kits.
might not actually have a like the recent ones put out by Round Two that might have they've been like doing some retooling to. Those were originally screw bottom kits. I mean, even though they don't have the screws fit physically in the box. Oh boy,
Yeah, they don't have the
they're still
screws in them,
considered that.
but you can see where the posts were, and a
Yep.
lot of them a lot of the kits you can see it on the radiator support because they
Yeah.
still have those two little round
I
things.
think like one model that I'm thinking I gotta bust back out because I froze up. I was doing like 2 or 3 years ago. I was doing the build on my channel, and I stopped at the paint phase. Go figure. Which I'm glad that I waited because now I got the paint that I really want to use on that. Anyways, it was that '64 Oldsmobile, and I think that
Hmm.
thing.
That's
I
a
think
screw bottom.
it's actually that kit came with the screws.
Yeah,
It actually has the screws in it,
the
and so
Cutlass.
the Cutlass, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So we'll start
they're still
December 1.
produced.
We'll start December 1, and just build them and post them, and
Yeah, definitely.
just for just for giggles and grins, I decided to make the final cutoff um, what's more appropriate for a screw bottom build than the day we all get screwed? It's April 15th. So I, that'll be the day we finish. So
that's the humor that George has that I was waiting for to come out.
well, that's the day that we'll finish. So I'm
That's
gonna
like
have fun with
appropriate.
it.
That is cool.
I've already I did a video I posted earlier in the week. I looked at I've kind of narrowed down my selection of what I'm going to build of one of 3 or 4 kits.
Yeah.
And I think I made my mind up. I think I'm going to do I've got the 65 Oldsmobile 88. Um, it's a beautiful car. It's a classic, big
Yeah,
two-door
that's a
coupe
nice
from the
one. That's a
60s.
nice one.
And it's a rare kit, because they did it that one year, and then the next year they cut it up to make the modified stocker.
Yeah.
So,
A
I don't
lot of
know if
them
we're ever
lost
going
their
to see it.
lives for
I
that.
don't know if we're ever going to see it come back. I can't imagine there's a heck of a lot of demand out there for 65 Oldsmobile Dynamic 88s.
Be surprised, but yeah,
But
doubt we'll see it.
it was either that or I kind of narrowed it down to that or the 66. I've got a 66 Skylark GS.
Ah, nice one.
Which
Well,
well, and actually a fun story on that kit. I was looking for that kit, and I found it on eBay. I found a bagged kit. It was all bagged up,
mm-hmm.
and it was all there, but no box. And I guess about 2 months later, I'm scrolling through eBay, and somebody was selling a box for that kit for $5.
Oh, nice. I always like that when that works out. That's
So I
happened to me
snagged
a
it.
few times.
So now I've got a complete 66 guy, and I got somebody's been hounding me. I've been offered $400 for it, and it's like, no, I don't want to sell it. I want to build
Yeah,
it.
I know. Yeah, we're into these things. I got a question here. Rules as far as that group build you're doing. Um, can one fella who might have one that's already started
Sure.
finish it and go? Oh, thank you.
The
And
the objective is to get screw bottom kits up there,
all right,
and
I'm going to shoot. I have 2. Then I'm going to shoot 4 to get done for that one.
I
I'm
might
in.
actually be able to get 2 done. But I've got the timing, unfortunately, kind of overlaps with
The
the
USAC.
the USAC group build.
Yeah.
And but the thing about the USAC group build is, I want to build something for the Mid Atlantic NNL, which
Mm-hmm.
is Mama's show, Maryland
Yeah.
Automotive Modelers Association, and their theme build for this year is F bodies,
Oh,
and
cool. Works.
I've pulled out. I actually had this out the other day. I was looking at it. I'm going to do this guy.
Nice. Yeah. We've talked about that
And
on
I was,
our little
I was
stream.
thinking I was going to do this. Hang on, I dropped something here.
I heard it. I hope it didn't break.
No, I was gonna do this pretty much like the box art, the white with the black.
Yeah.
But I was going through the test shots that I have of some of the scale finishes pearl, and you're not going to see it too well on here, but I think that color, it's called coal.
Yeah.
It's a pearlescent gray. I think that with the black stripes would really pop.
That would be very Eleanor looking.
Exactly, and that, you know what, that's the one thing that's kind of hanging me up right now is I don't want it to look like I'm copying Eleanor. I want it to look So this is sprayed over black. I've sprayed out a couple different. I've already primed a bunch of spoons. I'm planning on doing some more test shots.
Yeah.
See if I put it over white, it might lighten it up a little bit, and still look good with the black, and not look like a Chevrolet Eleanor.
Yeah, exactly. Good thinking. Yeah, I'm sure you can hit that.
But I got to get that finished for the Mama show, as well as USAC. So I'll I'll get it done. I've got some. I'm finishing up. I'm finishing up that rally car group build, the Alpine A110 for the that you guys started on the podcast,
which is still going. That
that's still
group
going
is
to the
still
end of the year.
End of the year.
I'm finishing that up. Got the chassis complete, got the engine in, and I'll probably be starting decals this week. So I'll have that thing done in probably 2 weeks,
Right
and then
on.
I'll jump on these other builds.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a lot. I got a lot going on, but
Oh
I'm
yeah,
spending an
yeah.
hour to
No,
an hour and a half a day building. So
no, that's good though. You're going at a good clip then. And I got to throw something on you. This might be a little bit of pressure, maybe. Something that you mentioned earlier, something that you burned out on, but I'm going to have to
oh
ask you. I don't know if, since you're not really into the NASCAR building anymore. I don't know if you're on my. I do have a NASCAR
yeah,
circle track.
I'm on the page.
I thought you were on that. Are you going to be getting into that group build for doing the 81 to 91 Cup cars, the downsize years, the first decade
You
of
mean
the
the ones
downsize?
that I already have about a dozen of?
Yes, yes. Can we squeeze one more out of
I don't
you?
know.
You got a whole year.
I you know what? I probably could. I need to find a kit. Um, I never built a Rusty Wallace car, and I always wanted to build a Miller Genuine Draft car.
Oh, there you go. That's right
So
there. That's perfect.
maybe there's a chance. I'll say I had a handful of all painted bodies that I sold at a swap meet that I painted to build up, but
Mm,
never finished. I did. Remember Mike Wallace drove for Barry Owens? He had that FDP brake car.
yes.
I did that car. Robert Presley, when he was in Bush, did
Yeah.
the Allied Tractor Training, Allied Tractor Trailer. That's hard to say.
It is. Boy, it's a tongue
Tractor
twister.
Trailer Training Center.
That was a pretty
Um,
car.
it was a black and gold car.
Black
I
and
mean, I
gold
had
is
that
always
one was
good.
fully painted.
It's an Oldsmobile.
Um, Carol was a huge Alan Kowicki fan. We
Yeah.
both were. Uh, we met Alan on a number of occasions, and just a super guy. Um, if you saw in those pictures, I think I had one of the Army cars
Yeah.
that he ran. Um, I've never done a Hooters car. Um, maybe that's something I can do. I'll you got me thinking.
Good. Good. That's
You
what I
got me
wanted to do.
thinking.
That's fine.
By the way,
Well,
half those NASCAR builds,
mm-hmm.
they're curbsides. I know Salvino's has come out with. You know what? And that's something too. I think I think you might have me here, Matt.
Good.
I really really like what Salvino's is doing,
Yeah.
and I just think they're
They rejuvenated that end of the model car hobby that was really dying off.
well, and it's not only is what they're doing, the quality from what I've seen is really over the top, but they're 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 doing subjects that we've never seen before.
Yeah. Exactly.
Those modifieds, and I really, even though they're not, I love going to dirt tracks and watching modifieds, but I'm not really all that interested in building one. But I just love what they're doing for the hobby. So
Yeah.
if you
Definitely.
can give me an opportunity to support them by building one of their kits, I need to poke around and see what they have, and I'm sure there's aftermarket decals out there to do
Oh,
just about anything
you
I
just
want to
go to
do.
Mike's Decals. I don't know if you ever heard of that. Go check
Yeah,
out
I think
Mike's
I've got
Decals.
some of theirs.
If you want
Yeah.
some decals for a cup car, holy cow, or any of the lot of different circle track racing decals there.
So I got the whole year to do it, huh?
You got a whole year. It starts on January 1st and ends on December 31st. You can't make it any more easier than that.
I like that. I've seen more and more guys doing group builds like that, where
Yeah, they're
it's kind of wide
inspiring.
open.
They're inspiring. I do enjoy them.
It's just, I mean, I deal with deadlines every day at work. I don't want to have to deal with them on my modeling.
Yeah, I tell you, I know what you mean. Well, George, I want to thank you so much for coming on. This was a
No,
fun
thank you.
conversation. I wanted to give you a shot of maybe getting some eyes on you that didn't know you had a channel out there, and now maybe they'll go over there. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend the channel. And there's this, when I have guests on, I kind of put them in a position, and I'm going to have to put you in that position. Are you prepared? Do you know what I'm talking about?
As long as it's not bent over.
Well, I can't guarantee that, but go on. The stage is yours, sir.
Okay, keep on cutting those fingers off and gluing them back on. No, that's not it. Keep on cutting that styrene and gluing those fingers together.
Okay, that's perfect. And thank you very much, and
Thank
everybody.
you, Matt.
Hey, oh man, this was fun. This was a lot of fun,
It's been a
and we're going to
gas. I
be,
really enjoyed it.
yeah, and we're going to be. We already got you lined up. You're going to be a guest on the Model Car Enthusiast podcast here soon, and
Looking
we're going to have
forward
a
to
lot
it.
of fun. And
Looking
you know, you and I will be doing more stuff later too.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. And the last thing we say here is, here's the producers. And whenever you're ready, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm not ready, but I'm going to do it anyway. So
Well,
let me write the
that's
time
the
that we
story of my
start.
life.